Hey there, welcome to the Adulting Advice Podcast, where we share advice and step-by-step guides on all things life after 20. I am Hannah.
And I am Danny, and we're multi-passionate, career-driven 20-somethings who come from very different backgrounds, but have similar goals and struggles. And we're here to chat about it.
Join us.
Before we dive in, Hannah, I have a quick question for you that I would love to just break the ice because I'm super awkward.
Okay. I feel, okay.
Here we go. What have you seen lately that kind of annoys you?
Okay, so I was literally having this conversation with my husband last night. It's not something I've seen, it's something I've heard.
Okay.
So, have you heard of that new Ariana Grande song that came out?
No.
The Thank You Next?
No.
Okay, well, this is a recurring theme I have with Ariana Grande's music. I hate it the first time I listen to it.
Oh.
It is annoying. I think, I want to like her.
This is me with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, similar theme. Yeah, but, I want to like it because it's, a thing that people like and sing in the car.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, that's annoying. I don't like it. And then I'm at work, and the song starts playing into my head, and it infiltrates, all of my thoughts. And that's all I can listen to.
Wow.
So I've been listening to nonstop Ariana Grande songs for the past, 2 days.
And you hated it.
And I hated it to begin with. And my friend knows that. She's like, I know you're not going to like it, but it'll grow on you. And sure enough, it grows on me each time.
There's some psychology, a formula that they do, because Taylor Swift does it too. I'm like, haters gonna hate. This is stupid. These lyrics are not cool.
And then you're just, dancing to it the next... Yeah.
Totally annoying. I absolutely understand.
Nice.
Okay.
Not the only one.
Thing that annoys me lately, I'm noticing that in pictures... I heard this advice and now I'm seeing it everywhere. That to look nice in photos, you should open your mouth a little bit and push your tongue to the front or something. It's you roll your tongue up and then you separate your lips a little bit and you smile. And now all I can see is this really weird forced smile is everywhere.
What?
It's this really weird forced smile where you're obviously no one can see me doing it, but
Don't worry, guys, it will be...
You know what? I'm just going to write this down. I'm going to post in the show notes
how to fake smell.
what it looks like, and you're going to notice it everywhere.
Perfect. Okay. So diving in. That was...
I'm so sorry. That was really terrible, but it's true.
So last episode, we were just chatting about, career paths with or without a college degree. And I feel like we got into an area where we could dive in more on, and that's just about getting a job in general. And everything from the moment you start looking for a job to up until you get a job offer, there's a whole sea of territory that I think would be helpful to explain and kind of help people navigate.
Yes, and this applies to literally everyone.
Everyone, any job, any industry.
Any age, any point of their career.
Yes, this is crucial. The simple things that I feel like people often overlook. And, fun fact, so Danny and I work for 2 different small businesses, and we've actually each hired for each of these businesses. And so this is also coming from not only people who have applied for jobs before, but for people who've also been on the other side and understanding how it's perceived as a hiring manager throughout these steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay.
Awesome.
So Danny, step 1, take it away.
Finding openings. Where do you go to find the right job? And I know that initially you think, I just Google it.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to Indeed.com or something like that. And you can do that. And sorry if you hear weird sounds in the background. My dog is being a dog. It makes sense to do those things, but I personally don't really go that route. And if I do, I like to make sure that I find that job opening in Indeed, for example, and then I go to the company's website. Now, I prefer to choose the company I want to work for, then go to their website and look for their job openings on the website versus finding it on Indeed.com or whatever those websites are. And my reason for that is two. One is there's sometimes more information on the job. And the second one is that if they haven't ever listed that job on Indeed or any other kind of website, less people are applying. So it's less competition.
Sure.
Because the majority of people don't go looking for a job at the company they want. They just go looking for any job anywhere. So it's less competitive, and you can contact them directly, and they see that you've taken the initiative to go on their website and look for a job with them.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I think, just a quick sidebar, that's also super helpful when you're starting to realize, like, I don't just want a job, I want a career with a company that I'm excited about and passionate about. So I think that's a really good approach too. So, like, what companies make me feel good? What companies do I feel like exhibit a company culture that I want to be a part of, and let me figure out how to get in there rather than how to find my next job that could be anywhere.
Yeah, because they know that you went looking for them if you're applying straight from their website.
Sure.
All right, cool.
And then also, another note on that, a new way I feel like you could also apply for job openings is LinkedIn. Have you ever looked on LinkedIn Jobs before?
I know about it. Yeah.
So what's really cool is that LinkedIn Jobs takes it a little step further. So companies, if they post it on LinkedIn, you can see who the job poster is. So it's literally like Hannah at whatever posted this job. And you can apply through the app or on their website, but you've officially gotten a point of contact from the company, like the person who posted the job themselves. So you can also go that route and choose to maybe reach out to the job poster, and immediately you've made some kind of personal connection rather than just being an application, in some database that they have.
Cool.
Yeah.
I never thought to do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Sweet. All right. Well, the second step is to adjust your resume to highlight your experience. So something that we want to point out here is this is different to how most people would approach this. Most people
Knowledge bomb, guys.
Knowledge bomb.
Listen, this is great.
Step one, most people would say that step one is to write your resume, and step two is to find your job opening. But we do it the other way around, where step one is find your opening and step two is write your resume, because you want to find the job that you want to apply for and make your resume customized to that job.
Yes, like the least effective way to go about your job search is to have a canned resume that you just fire off to every single job that you find. And so I'm going to jump in with a little bit more here. I was in IT recruiting, and I'm not sure if you noticed, but a lot of ways that sometimes companies get through these initial screenings, for example, when you're a large company, you're getting hundreds and hundreds of job applications. Yeah. And, there's a little bit of controversy on whether or not this should be a thing that they do, but a lot of companies filter your resume through an automated application tracking system. So essentially your resume is literally being scanned and search for keywords that match the job posting.
This is a knowledge bomb.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it is a fact. I know a ton of companies that do this. So a way to get ahead of this is to customize your resume. So if they say oh, you should know, I don't know, marketing, or HubSpot, Google Analytics, Google whatever, and in your mind you're oh, perfect, I know it, let me apply. What you can do is list those words on your resume, and the application tracking system is going to realize, hey, this is a job posting, this is what they need and the experience and skills, and this resume has a lot of the same words. We're going to make this top priority.
This makes perfect sense.
Yes.
This is exactly like using Google. This is search engine optimization.
It's literally the exact same thing.
Right. So think when you're looking for something on Google, you type in what you're looking for, and Google crawls the internet and has found what matches. And so some big companies are doing that with your resume.
Exactly.
So use keywords.
Use keywords.
That's amazing.
Yep. So I would definitely, like you said, find the job and take the time to customize your resume to, in the event that's what's happening in the back end, you're a step ahead of it.
I love that.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Cover letters.
Yes.
Okay, a lot of people hate writing cover letters.
They're time consuming. It's like this extra step. And especially if you want a job, most people are in this rapid fire, what can I do? But from a hiring manager's perspective, when I see people say like, hi, I'm excited to work with insert company name here in this role, and they really get personable, it's like, we're on the same wavelength. Like, you've taken the time to tell me why this makes sense for you and for us.
Yeah.
So it's a must. Like, you have to do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like if I asked you a question and you just handed me a piece of paper with some information on it that might be like a little bit relevant, but you haven't answered my question. You know, when you send that cover letter, you're answering my ad with a response and a resume attached.
Yeah, so you really have to look at your resume literally being like the supplemental piece. And your cover letter is really answering why I'm perfect for the job and why you should hire me.
Yeah.
And cover letters are crucial, like I think especially crucial in two scenarios. One, when you've never had a job before. When you're brand new to like the working world and you don't have a lot of stuff on your resume, the cover letter is going to be a place where you can really talk about the work ethic and your drive and what you feel like you can bring to the company. On the other case, if you're someone who's making a career change, the cover letter is going to explain like, why in the world are you now applying for this job when your resume has shown you've only ever done other job.
Right.
Yes. So you're exactly what you said. You're giving more information rather than your resume being something someone has to decipher and figure out like, how did you end up here?
Yeah. It gives some context to your resume, which is especially important for anyone who's had extended period of time in between two jobs. That's always a question. Why did this person not work for 2 years? And it doesn't it doesn't matter what the reason is, as long as you just have to give the reason.
Yeah, you have to answer. So your goal up until you get an interview request is to leave as little room as possible for unanswered questions. So if you, again, have a work history gap, if you don't have any work experience, maybe even if your resume looks like you've been job hopping for a little bit, right? Those are all questions and things that hiring managers generally wonder, like, what's going on here? So your cover letter is the perfect segue to get all of their questions that they're thinking out of the way and hopefully, move into the actual interviewing stage.
Yeah. So I know we've already covered a lot of stuff, guys, so I want to let you know that we are going to make a guide and we're going to leave a link to it in the show notes that you can go and download that has all of this written down. So don't worry about remembering it all. It's going to be a checklist with all of the main tips we gave so that you can, nail your next job application and get the interview and hopefully get the job.
Perfect.
So you've got a solid cover letter and you get the interview. This is the next step. And it's probably a phone call first with an invitation to a formal interview. So we're just going to cover blanket interviewing
in general.
Entirely.
Yes. So a quick note on dress code. This is going to be, companies these days not only even phone interviews, sometimes it's a video interview. And if they don't do that, you're going to meet in person. So I'm sure, Danny, you would agree that you should err on the side of overdressed rather than not looking like the most professional human being.
Yeah, whatever your personal style is great. But when you are meeting somebody for a job for the first time, err on the side of business attire. So,
sure.
I worked in the hospitality industry for a long time and I hired for a lot of those roles. And even if you're just coming to make coffees or sling beers, when you come to your job interview, I would prefer to see you in business attire than in like trackies and tracksuit pants and a sweatshirt, So there's just, if you're not sure, more is better.
Yes. And I think it shows that you took the time to look polished and prepared. And also, if you're trying to find a job and you happen to be in contact with a recruiter, their job is actually to help you get the job. Recruiters want you to get a job because that's how they end up getting paid. So feel free to use your point of contact as a resource and say, hey, like, I want to be as prepared as I can be. What is the best way to dress for the interview? Because sometimes they'll tell you, like, hey, we're super casual, no need to be in business attire. So you'll still want to, again, look really nice and polished, but knowing that can kind of help ease any, unnecessary stress that you're having to get into the door.
And there's probably a lot of times where there's no harm in asking.
Absolutely. So just ask.
Yeah. What should I wear?
Yeah, it's literally that simple.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it. Okay. Well, when you go to an interview, you are being interviewed. They're going to ask you questions. So preparing for that is one of the biggest struggles for a lot of people.
Sure. You should go into your interview, like you said, knowing you're going to be interviewed. So there's a series of questions in general that you need to be prepared for. And they are questions that you should practice reiterating to someone, so you're not going in there blind and trying to give this impromptu kind of speech. So a lot of popular questions include, like, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your last job. I know. I will include some information on how to answer that question.
Yes, we'll give you some tips, some quick tips now, but in the guide, we're going to elaborate a little more on how to answer those questions.
Yeah. So tell me about yourself, all the way down to tell me about, what you did, and, like, what did your last job look like? And the one bit of advice I'm going to give that can be translated not only to your interview questions, but to your resume, those are not the times to talk about the tasks you accomplished, right? So you're not going to say, like, I picked up the phone, or I answered email, or I sold this. Like, that's not the time. What you are going to say is, like, I promptly answered, like, questions. Like, you want to talk about the value that you're giving, not the tasks that you're completing. Does that make sense?
Yes, just because of, it sounds like marketing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. When you're in the interview process, you are marketing yourself. So I don't want to know if you answered 400 emails a day, but if I know that you increased the customer satisfaction survey by, like, 10, 20%, that is huge.
Yeah. Because these
not
people,
that you just responded to an email.
These people already know how you did it. That you did it through the phone or the email. Like, there's not that many options. So let's talk about what you accomplished.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. That's really cool.
Yep. What are some questions that you feel like you asked people when hiring?
So, I more remember the ones that I was asked.
Oh, sure.
But especially when I had no experience, straight out of school or something, a lot of it was provide an example of a time where you took initiative.
Yeah.
Whether you were in school or in a job. So you don't have to give examples of workspace. You can talk about something that you did at a school project or in university. You could talk about something that you did with your family if you want to. Like, where did you take initiative and thrive and have a great outcome?
Sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the workspace, which is just something that I learnt that I thought was really helpful to know.
So those are generally, like, the types of questions you should be prepared for. So answering, again, kind of what you did in your previous role, but also situational, because all of those questions are meant to let them get an idea of how you are going to be in this new job, right? Another question that I've gotten on multiple occasions is, like, how have you handled conflict? Like, tell me about a time where you had a problem or a conflict with someone at work. So that's another question. So being prepared to answer questions that show how you interact with society.
Yes, because people want to see who you are as a person. Your personality fit in their company is more important a lot of the time than how you actually do things.
Exactly, because if you already have the interview, like, chances are your resume has said you can do the tasks that we're asking for. We want to know what next. Like, what kind of person are you to work with?
Yeah.
Can we see your drive and how you are in the workplace?
And that's a great tip. If you already have the interview, you have already beat a lot of people
Yes.
to get that job.
So now you need to differentiate.
You need to take that confidence and start elaborating more and talk about the things on your resume further.
Sure.
All right, cool.
And now I feel like every interview ends with the same question. And it's when they throw it back to you and say, Danny, do you have any questions for me?
And you're just like, I think that's everything for now.
No, you do not want to say that. So this question, that do you have any questions, is, I mean, you have taken the stage. Like, it is your time to shine. This is where you can ask the questions that show that you're actually interested and you are considering if this place makes sense for you to work at. So you want to ask questions like, you know, what does it look like to be successful in this job after 3 years? Or can you tell me about the management style? Like, that's okay to take charge and see if this makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Because yes, they're interviewing you, but the key to having a successful career is making sure the jobs that you're applying for also make sense for you.
Yes. A great one for you to ask if you are fresh out of college or school is, what career development or education do you have within your company? A lot of companies have, little courses, time management courses, or some kind of career advancement training, and you would look really good if you asked, what does your training look like? What does your career development look like?
Yeah, it shows that you're interested in learning more and are already trying to figure out, like, does this make sense for me? Are they also going to be supporting me?
Right. What is a question you would not ask? Because I know what I would not ask.
What would I not ask?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay. In my opinion, if this is your first interview, you do not want to immediately jump into, like, how much will this job pay?
That's exactly what I thought you were going to say, and me too. The amount of people who ask what the pay is before they even show up, that tells me you don't care about the job. Obviously, it's important. The employer knows it's important. Don't worry, homie. You're going to get paid. Like, that conversation is going to happen. It's not going to happen now.
Yeah, there's a time and place for that, and that first interview is not the time nor the place.
Yes. All right, great. Perfect. We're on the same page there. The very last step before we get into a couple of bonus tips, all right? So the follow-up process.
Super important. You're still being evaluated after you leave the front door.
Right. So I guess we forgot to say, when you leave that interview, make sure you have contact information.
Yes, so that's crucial to the follow-up. So in general, your follow-up is meant to show that you're interested and you are grateful for the time they've given you. So something you should always do is send, like, a follow-up email thanking them for just that.
Yes.
So exactly what Danny just said, to be prepared for that. If you don't leave with a business card, like, you need to avoid leaving there without a business card. So ask the hiring manager, hey, like, can I please have your business card to follow up? Like, that's totally fine. One thing that I've done is run back into the reception office and say, hey, do you have the business card for so-and-so? Because usually business cards will be on the front reception desk. So do whatever you need to do to make sure that you get in contact with that person again. Even, again, if it's calling the front desk and saying, hey, like, I just interviewed there. What is the contact information for so-and-so? I'd really love to send a thank you note.
Yeah.
It is okay, totally okay to ask that.
Your perseverance only makes you look more interested and only keeps you more front of mind.
Absolutely.
If you're following up and someone else that applied isn't, I mean, that's a huge advantage for you. So you should definitely follow up with a nice email that just thanks them for their time and that you're really looking forward to hearing from them.
Yes.
And I would say a week after, 1 business week after is enough.
Yeah, so I would send the first thank you the same day. Like,
yes. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Get in your car and send it.
Of course.
But then if you it's a kind of like what next, right? So before you leave your interview, it is also totally okay to say, thank you for your time. I would love to know what are the next steps and or when can I expect to hear from you next? Like it shows that you are invested in the process, and it also kind of shows that you may have some other things going, and it's okay to put a tiny bit of that knowledge into the hiring manager's area so they know like you're looking for stuff, and especially if I'm interested, I know that I need to also keep up with you.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So I would always ask them, hey, when can I expect to hear from you next? If they say a week, perfect. And if that week goes by, it is totally okay to send an email saying, again, thank you so much for your time. Just curious to see how things are going in the application process. Is there anything else that I can do for you? Or do you have any other questions?
Yeah. I think that's really great. And then they have your contact information too, which super bonus means that they have your contact information. So maybe if something doesn't happen this time around, they can find your email and they can contact you in a few months or a year from now. Like that happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Leave
love
the door open.
Sweet. So a couple rapid fire tips
Yes.
that didn't really fit into any categories, but we just want you to know about applying and interviewing and getting jobs.
Yes.
Hannah, what are some of yours?
First one, something to be conscientious of is that every time you communicate with someone, that is an opportunity for you. So if from the moment they send an email saying, hey, so-and-so, we would love to bring you in for an interview, your response should be as polished and professional as you would communicate over the phone. So always starting off any email with a greeting, hi, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, full sentences. You're not texting someone about meeting for coffee. You're not putting a little smiley face, not the time still, not the place, and with a full signature. I mean, usually in any kind of business setting, you need to show that level of professionalism. So just be mindful of that.
Awesome. Every opportunity to communicate is important.
Yes.
Love it. Guys, piggybacking off that a little bit, I have seen situations where people haven't done the basic research and they're getting the name of the company wrong or the name of the person that they're meeting wrong.
Especially if you're applying for a ton of jobs and you have a lot going on.
Yes. So for example, at Hamilton Partners, one of the girls was calling it Hampton Partners and she immediately was not going to get that job from the get-go. So just take a second. Do not trust your eyes. Have a quick look. Double check the information that you've got before you go in so that you don't look silly.
Absolutely. And to go even further, there are so many resources and actions you can take to really know not only about the company that you're applying for, but the person that you're going to be talking to. So LinkedIn is an amazing resource for anyone who is looking for a job. So if I knew that I'm going to have an interview at so-and-so with Danny, I can go on LinkedIn, I can search by company, I can search by city, and I can find this person. Now, this sounds borderline creepy. I can see how researching someone
it is always
sounds
creepy, yeah.
a little weird, but it just completely prepares you and also gives you room to connect with someone. So if you can see that they were in this position for 5 years and maybe, went to a certain school or whatever the case may be, that just gives you time to create a background of relatedness for that person so you can connect with them. And last note, take the time to really dive into the company and understand the kind of initiatives that they do, because I guarantee you one of the first questions you're probably going to be asked is, what do you know about the company and or position? And you want to be able to impress them with that.
You want to know something, and you never know what creative question you can come up with by doing a bit of research.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we have already managed to run over time.
Thanks for listening to the show. Do not forget to download your step-by-step guide to getting the job you want in the show notes.
Yes.
And follow us everywhere. All the links will be in the show notes. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Bye, y'all.
See you in the next one.